actually insane takes from Leaflit. All right, let's listen to these insane takes. People who I'll back it up so you guys can hear it. A bad, you know, like a inherently bad thing. It's just that since we exist in a society, you know, you would have to harmonize with said society. Yeah, so like a lot of people are saying that take is retarded, that because of the meme, like, oh, like I can't believe she used the argument that we exist in a society. The truth is we do exist in a society. Where's the lie? How's that a lie? In order to reach harmony, we have to be able to be considerate of each other's differences. Because what happens is when you're not considerate of each other's differences, there's only one way to resolve things. And that's through force. And I think that we should try to not resolve things through force. Like they're advocating for using force. That's what it is. I'm not. I think we should talk about it and come to a compromise. And they're like, no, we're just going to force everybody. Yeah, what? And so it would make it easier.
So should the norm basically control how others need to like live like?
It's like I said before, people who are weird have to do their best. God, I can tell I'm so tired. I can hear it. I can hear it in my voice. I'm just so tired. Like I'm just exhausted from being up for 30 hours. And society has a obligation or a moral obligation to allow them to have their liberty. Not moral, sorry, just a societal obligation. For the sake of harmony, a societal obligation, not moral. Sorry, I missed.
I mean, I think calling like left-handed people weird.
This combo should be, you should be fully arrested first. Well, I blame Ira. Honestly, I blame Ira.
Autistic people weird or gay people weird and whatnot is like pretty. It's kind of gross.
Why? I'm weird. Like a bad, you know, like a inherent. Anyway, yeah, I don't know how that's really bad, to be honest. Like, I mean, the thing is people's argument against what I said is, wow, you're a fucking bigot and a Nazi, and this is such a terrible take. Okay, well, what's terrible about it? Like, what is terrible? Like, what is terrible about? No one will tell me. They'll never tell me what's terrible about it. They'll just say like, you're a bad person. Wow, you're such a bad person, Leaflit. Wow, you're such a Nazi. You're literally Hitler. Like, you're the worst. You should die. But they don't actually tell me what's wrong with my take. They won't tell me. No one will tell me. Again, thank you so much for the bits. Thank you. Leaf walking up to battle at low HP. We can see your exhaustion in the model. Thank you. Yeah, I was super tired, man.
People weird.
It honestly hurt my my ability to stay like my ADD. The thing is, when I get really tired, my ADD kicks in so hard. So like even like being able to focus on what they're saying is like really, really difficult, to be honest.
Like calling autistic people.
Anyway, let's see what else I said. That's an actually insane take. Let's hear it. Like, let's say for instance, like, let's say I love hentai like a fuck ton. Let's say I'm just really into hentai, like damn. And I got one of those ahegao shirts, right? And I love it. It's so good. If I wear it like at home, it doesn't really matter. But if I wear it like at a park where there's kids, now I'm kind of infringing on society. You see what I mean? Yeah. Yeah, I don't care if you want to wear an ahegao t-shirt at home. Yeah, who cares? But like if you're gonna wear like some degenerate shit around kids, then yeah, it's kind of weird. But I'm not saying you should make ahegao shirts illegal. Yeah. Yeah, how's that?
Do you equate being gay to being like some perversion?
No, I'm using an example of a thing that's outside of the average normal society. Yeah, as an illustration of the point. Yes, I think that being trans, being gay are there factors that aren't shared by the majority of society. Yeah, which is true. Which is true. Like, where's the lie? How is this crazy? I'm just guys, I'm not saying what things ought to be. I'm saying what they are. We're talking about a description of reality, not a description of like fantasy land that would be like something that people would want to live in. I don't know. when you're living amongst other people, you have to harmonize with those people. Otherwise, it's just wielding power at that point. Let's see the next one. Are there factors that aren't shared by the majority of society?
Do you think like exclusive white neighborhood should be a thing?
Exclusive white neighborhood?
Yeah, so there's just like
So here, I don't know. Did I misspeak here? I might have. We'll hear what I said.
a town
Let's hear what I
where there
said.
are only like white people allowed to live because like it is too disruptive for a person of color to live there. Do you think that's like, you know, they should be like able to like have like, should that be like a thing?
That's a rough one, actually. That's a rough one. So I had to think about it, right? Because I'm like, okay, well, let me emulate this in my mind, right? So now I'm thinking of the town, and I'm thinking about, okay, well, so this is what's happening during this time, right? Where I said it's a tough one. Let me think about it, right? So this is what's going on in my head. I'm like, okay, there's a town. It's in the middle of nowhere. Okay, what are people going to say? This person's going to say this. Well, then this person's going to counter with this. Well, then what about liberty? What about property rights, like freedom of association? And all of these things are basically being fought over in my head, like all while I'm thinking here. I'm like, okay, well then you would say this to that, but then if you were the counter argument, you would say this to that, and then you would say this as a counter to that, and this as a counter to that. So I'm trying to crunch it in my mind, whether or not you can say no to that or say yes to it. I don't know. And you can see you can literally see it when I finish crunching it. You can see, okay, like if you look at my face,
should that be like a thing?
That's a rough one, actually. So look at this. Processing. That's a rough one. Processing. Boom, right there. So this might be shocking, but my initial reaction is yes, because of freedom of association.
What does that mean?
And when I said by initial is because this is a philosophical crunch that I did on stream, like live, with like 30, like I haven't slept for 30 hours. I haven't slept since Thanksgiving dinner, and I'm crunching this in my mind. And so that's why I say, well, you know, this is my preliminary thought on it. I don't know yet. I'd have to like put more time into it, right? I'd have to think about it. Are there factors that aren't shared by the majority? Yeah, you have to think about it. But my initial thought is yes. And I mean, I'll explain it to you why. I kind of already explained it a little bit before, but the reason why is because who was the government to tell you who you can or can't hang out with in private? So let's say that like a person is like they are a racist. Let's say, for instance, like let's say a person. You want to know the fucking? You want to know the hilarious shit about this chat? You want to know? Yes. No. I'm not talking about the town, not like the horse, the town. I'm talking about a town. I'm not talking about that town. Okay, so it goes like this. So say there are okay, I completely lost my train of thought. So the reason why I find this to be fucking hilarious, because aren't these the people that want to make like their own like safe spaces? So what should the government say? You can't have a safe space? So like say like you're like, well, I want to have living with me only trans people because they'll accept me. So can the government say, nah, sorry, you gotta live with this transphobe, right? That's my point. Is the government shouldn't be able to tell you who you can't hang out with. That's my fucking point. That's the point in this exercise, right? So what I'm thinking about in my mind, Walter Zach, thanks for the gift sub, by the way. It's an even. Thank you. I really appreciate it. What I'm thinking in my mind is, okay, well, say there are a bunch of people, a bunch of white racists, and say the white racists, for the sake of argument, are like, yo, we're gonna build our private place. We're gonna, you know, we have private property, we have a private ranch, and we want to make a private town. And this private town is only gonna have white people. We're just gonna be like a colony of white people. And that's it. That's it. You can only go in if you get a you get a genetic test that shows that you're white or whatever. Then you can come in. Now, my question is, who gets to decide who you can hang out with and who you can't? So, like, if they want to hang out with only white people or whatever you want, only Christians, only whatever, and it's a completely private thing, then who cares? Now, of course, that calculation changes if it's not private. Like, say it's like a government, government thing, or like government land, or it's like an actual like city like government. Then okay, like maybe we would have some restrictions on that because of laws that we have, national laws that we have around that. Like we'd probably have to reconcile that with that. But in general, I'm not really a big fan of the government like telling people what to do. And see, the thing is on the surface, it's really easy. Like I can see how they would be like, wow, that's so fucking racist, Leaflit. Are you fucking kidding? Like, you want segregation? But that's not really what I'm advocating for. What I'm advocating is no government control. And do you see how they're not really the same thing? And if you think about it for more than 3 seconds, you can understand what I mean. They want segregation, though? Yes. I mean, a lot of cases they do, which is funny. Like, I mean, you have like a safe space is basically segregation, right? Anyway, that's kind of my take there. It's not really one of again, like I stated this earlier actually. I love hentai. Like, oh God, why did that? I'm just why did that?
Sure.
Why are we open with that, bro? What the fuck?
Sure.
Really into hentai. Like, fucking hate this. I hate this, bro. I hate this. Like, why is it gotta keep playing that clip over and over again? Why is it gonna do that? You know, why is it gonna do that? Anyway, so here's what I said here. All right. So this is my actual take on it. I just, again, I made this public because people were saying that I want segregation. And I said, I actually think it's better to split things along cultural lines rather than race. So that's not even what I believe, because that's what I believe. I don't really think that race, I always get into arguments about race with people. And I actually do believe that race isn't the important factor. I think that the important factor is culture. And you know, the problem with that is you have to, and people will argue me, well, what about people that were born in a different country? Like can they switch culture? Well, it's harder because when you come from another country, you know, you're most malleable when you're a child. And if you're a child in a country that has different values from the United States, then it's going to be harder for you to like get outside of that culture and assimilate into American culture. So is that a racial thing? I don't know. I don't know what percent of that, like, could that possibly be? Maybe. I don't know. But I think on my initial thought of it is that it has more to do with like neuroplasticity than it has to do with race or anything like that. And there's a lot of proof. There's a lot of proof for like what I'm saying is that like a lot of the best American thought leaders are not white. A lot of them are. There's a lot of good ones that aren't. So, you know, Thomas Sowell, Clarence Thomas. I don't think that has anything. I think that they have better. And again, I bring up this example of. And then other people bring up IQ. That's the other one people bring up. Well, what about IQ, Leaflit? What about IQ and culture and IQ and you know, ability to function? Okay, well, tell me who's more American culture and who you'd rather have as your neighbor. Would you rather have a dumbass person that lives in the mountains like a fucking hillbilly, but they're like a nice guy and they do their job? Or would you rather have a 140 IQ Silicon Valley douchebag as your neighbor? Answer me that fucking question. So like obviously it doesn't have anything to do with IQ either. At least it's not the final end all be all, right? It might have some kind of small factor, but it's not like a 100% determination, right? But I am a Silicon Valley douchebag. Well, I mean, you know, you're not as crazy as you could be. I mean, I'm friendly, but a dumb hermit. I already got the hillbilly. Anyway, do you see my point here? That's my point about why. I mean, explaining why I think that the cultural line is the biggest one, and then maybe there's other factors, but I think that the most observable one would be culture. I think, Anyway, the reason I had to think about it is because I believe the government doesn't have the right to tell other people who they have to spend time with. It's about liberty over authoritarianism. By telling a group of people that they must let X group of people into their space privately, an important distinction, you know, between public and private, you would have to execute authoritarian force onto that group's will, which is true. Because how the fuck else are you going to do it? How are you going to force the racists to congregate with people that they don't like? How are you going to do it? Aside from force. Everything comes down to using force. It's either negotiation or force. That's it. That's the only two things. And it says, kind of funny, what you're advocating for is actually closer to fascism than I could ever be, which is true. Anyway, so that's my take on that. Let's see this one, the last one.
Sure, if
like
Germany would go ahead and they are going to be like, well, Jewish people are too disruptive, so all of them need to like be sent away. That is like something that you would like support, because the majority of people in Germany aren't Jewish, so they should be able to like decide that.
No, I don't think so, because that would involve taking their property rights away. Yeah, it would.
What if?
Because you would have to steal. So if Jews lived in Germany, you would have to steal their property rights and steal their property in order to kick them out. Yeah, that's true. What's wrong about that?
So do you think that like a sense of like identity is less valuable? Sure.
Yeah, what's wrong with that? Is trying to make me identify me as a Nazi? You don't agree? Well, the thing is they already live there. They already live there, so like you would be infringing on their liberties by kicking them out. I think. Again, you could argue property rights as a major factor in that. Also, how is Jew being now an identity? Well, I mean, it's Jewishness is kind of weird because it's simultaneously like an ethnicity and a religion. So it's an interesting thing, and I don't know. I don't know that much about it, to be honest. I'm not really a scholar in Judaism. You're gonna have to ask the Blue Jew for that one. But he was referencing Jewish expulsions from the 30s to try to entrap you. He was just being bad faith the whole time. Well, I mean, to be fair, what is a discussion? What is verbal combat but to trap your enemy? I don't really think that's like outside of the realm of battle. I just thought it was a bad line of argumentation. It's funny how the German brought up the Jew. That's wild. Okay, well, I mean, Nyara doesn't have anything to do with that. Just because Nyara is German doesn't mean that they have some kind of racial guilt. It's dishonest. This is why I hate debates. Too much stupid side quests and mini games you have to play. Well, yeah, it's basically verbal combat. Yeah. All of debating is verbal combat, basically. It's what it is. They used the bleach argument, which came off as racist. So that one was kind of, it was so absurd. It was kind of hard for me to even think about that one. But here, let's analyze it right now, just for funsies. So the idea is, if you lived in a society where almost everyone was white, and would you be bad for bleaching your kid's skin to like fit in more? So like, I think you could do that without malice. Actually, I'm very consistent on it. You can still do that without malice. I think so. The reason why is because I think that the abuse. Okay, hear me out. The abuse, how do I explain it? The intent is divorced from the result. So say you had a mom and her entire thing is, when I was a kid, education was everything. And we need education because that's how you have a good life. I want my kid to have a good life, so I'm going to tiger mom it up, and my kid cannot play outside. My kid has to study all day. You're going to study all fucking day. Like, You go home from school, go to cram school, come back, more studying, more tutoring, and we're going to do that for your whole life because I want what's best for you. So the intent is not the intent itself is not malice, but the result can still be bad. Do you see what I mean? The result is divorced from the intent. So if you had a mom who was like, well, the kid, your kid is trans, and the mom was like, you know what? I looked into it. I looked at all the literature. Man, holy fuck. 41% suicidal ideation rate, getting bullied. The surgeries have lifelong they have lifelong issues. They have to take medicine for the rest of their lives. It has all of these issues that come with it, all these mental issues that come with it, a lot of societal stigma. Man, that would be terrible for my kid. So you know what? Maybe before we say yes to that, maybe we try to make them not. Maybe we take them to a place that maybe will make them not trans so that they don't have to deal with that. And that's my point, is like the intent is not bad. Maybe the result is bad. Maybe the kid is just really trans, and it's like, maybe the kid's like, maybe we can, if we could, if we were all knowing and we could move back and forth in space and time and say that like at that moment we could pause the game, fast forward 10 years into the future and be like, oh yeah, that person's still going to be trans. People don't have that foresight, right? So, hindsight is 2020, right? So it's kind of like, you don't know if that person is going to actually end up being trans. You don't know. As a parent, you don't know. So like, why wouldn't you, if you see all of these things, these negative consequences of it, why wouldn't you as a parent say, well, maybe we try to see if that's not the case. Maybe we get a second opinion. Do you see my point, chat? And like they'll think that this is really fucking controversial. They're gonna say, "Oh, I want to erase trans people. I hate trans people. Trans people shouldn't exist." That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is we don't have a time machine yet. We don't have a time machine yet, and it's like I said, the mom would be thinking, "I want what's best for my kid." And if we can avoid this, it would be if we can avoid this, it would be ideal because of all of the hardship, right? And the thing is like trans people will admit this themselves. They do it all the fucking time. They do it all the time. They're like, I'm like so suicidal all the time, and like that people hate us. And that like I feel bad every time I have to go to the bathroom and people look at me weird. Like 41%, like 41% of trans people think about killing themselves. They're just out there killing trans people all the time. You hear this from them. So like if it's your kid, why would you want that to happen to your kid? Do you understand my point? That it's about the intent, regardless of if the outcome is good or not. You don't know that. I don't know how this is difficult to understand. How do you feel about gay conversion therapy? Well, I don't know. I don't know what the stats are on whether or not that's like good or not, right? And like maybe a person's really fucking gay. And again, like, hindsight being 2020, maybe if we had a time machine, we could look into the forward. Yeah, that guy's really fucking gay. Yeah, that guy's gonna suck dick for the rest of his life. My son is gonna suck dick for the rest of his life. Okay, well, fair enough. Maybe it's a bad idea, right? But then, like, if you're a parent and you're like, I don't know, maybe he's just bi because like he kind of likes girls. So like, what if we can like push him towards that? Because maybe I've seen the data and like people are really happy when they get married. So like, people are married and they have kids. They really find purpose and happiness in life. So like maybe like I want to push them towards that. And I don't know how gay. I mean, they're not that gay, right? And it's like you could kind of see like a hypothetical situation in which I don't think it's a bad thing. It's not a bad intent. Rather, it's not a bad intent. I don't know if it's a good thing or not. I don't fucking know. I don't know the stats on gay conversion therapy stuff. It doesn't matter. The percentage rates doesn't even matter for like the sake of argument, right? The argument I'm making is that the intent is divorced from the result. That's it. That's all I'm saying. This is why I argue gender affirming care is against the Hippocratic Oath. It doesn't actually help these people. Well, I mean, it depends, right? So, like, let me ask you a question then, Resident Chef. What if I could prove that it did? Say hypothetically, this one person, this one trans person, it would help them. They're going to be happier. You know, they're going to be content with their life. They're going to be like, yeah, they're going to have a good attitude about it. Let's say this hypothetical, this trans person is actually going to be happier, and that they're going to have a good mentality. They're going to say, okay, you know what? I get it's not like the same. And I get like, I can't be like biologically that, but you know what? It's okay. This is how I want to live my life. And it'd make me happy if I did that. So if I could prove that, you know, in this hypothetical, then would you still be against it? Exception doesn't dictate the general. I mean, sure, you could make that argument too, but then like we're arguing in this case, how do you specifically feel about that? Like, how would you specifically feel about that one specific situation? Why shouldn't they have the freedom to make that choice when they're an adult? Obviously, I mean, the reason I'm against trans children is I don't think children have the mental capacity to make a decision. That's why. Yeah, it's because children are fucking stupid. They don't know what they want. They don't know anything. Children are dumb as fuck. They're basically NPCs. Why the fuck would we let them make decisions? The same reason we don't reaffirm mental illnesses? Well, I mean, that doesn't have anything to do with my argument. My argument is if in this hypothetical situation, the person would be happy from it, if the person had the liberty to choose and they would be happy from it, then what are you against? Now, see, if you're coming from this from a religious point of view, then your argument should just be, well, I think it's against my religion and that's bad. And I think that would be a based argument, honestly. Then it would just be a disagreement. There's nothing you could do at that point except to enact force.